What if I told you that Prince Harry has been living a lie? A massive, well-orchestrated lie. And that MI6, Britain's elite intelligence agency, has just uncovered a secret that could not only destroy his marriage, but potentially unravel the image of the modern royal family as we know it. That's not just some wild conspiracy theory being whispered in dark corners of the internet. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. This is a classified report, a real one, a file delivered in silence to Buckingham Palace, stamped in red, labeled top secret, and now tearing its way through the highest levels of the monarchy like a wrecking ball. The subject? Meghan Markle. But not just Meghan as the Duchess of Sussex. Not Meghan the Hollywood actress. No, we're talking about Meghan. The woman allegedly married not once, not twice, but 3 times, including a man named Joe Giuliano, whose name, until now, had never been publicly linked to her in any legal document. That all changed when MI6 found it. This isn't about tabloid gossip. This is about the discovery of an alleged marriage certificate with the name Meghan Markle listed right beside that of Joe Giuliano, a name that instantly triggered every alarm within the palace walls. And the moment Prince Harry saw it, he reportedly lost it, shouting, pacing, demanding answers that no one in the room could give him, because they were just as shocked as he was. But wait, why now? Why would something like this surface years after Meghan and Harry's royal wedding? Why would it fall into the hands of MI6 of all agencies? And what's even more chilling, why was there more than one certificate? Now, I need you to stick with me here, because what you're about to hear, every twist, every betrayal, every hidden legal string pulled behind the scenes, connects to a larger web, one that involves Hollywood deception, intelligence leaks, silent palace cover-ups, and a royal marriage possibly built on a bed of lies. And no one, not even the king, saw this coming. Let's rewind a little. Picture it, King Charles III, seated behind his centuries-old desk at Buckingham Palace, reviewing official state documents. Routine. Ordinary. Until his secretary walks in. Red envelope. No return address. Hand-delivered. No email trail. Inside it, a file. Thin, but heavy with weight. Charles opens it. At the top, the MI6 insignia. A small note. For royal eyes only. Operation Blue Heron. Markle Intercept. And that's where the palace panic began. Because inside that file was a black and white scanned image of what appeared to be a legally binding marriage certificate between Meghan Markle and not Harry. Not Trevor Engelson, her known ex-husband. But a man named Joe Giuliano. No one had seen this before. Not royal advisors. Not British legal teams. Not even the American press. The document was dated. Signed. Witnessed. How was this possible? Had Meghan married someone else before Harry, and somehow no one knew? And if so, was this marriage ever legally dissolved? 1,000 questions flooded the room. But one thing was clear. Prince Harry had been kept in the dark. And what was worse, this wasn't the only surprise in the file. According to palace insiders, that MI6 dossier contained multiple documents, including 2 other certificates allegedly linking Meghan to other legal spouses before Harry ever entered the picture. One of them, Trevor Engelson, was known. The other? A mystery. Name redacted. But the date overlapped with Meghan's time in Canada. And we're going to get to that. But let's stay focused on the core bombshell, Joe Giuliano. Who is he? Why does his name appear on this document? And how the hell did MI6 get their hands on it? Now here's where things get even stranger. The document wasn't pulled from some public database. It wasn't requested through legal channels. It was intercepted from a private intelligence exchange between U.S. Homeland Security and a third-party data firm in Luxembourg. How do we know? Because a palace insider, someone who has been providing anonymous tips to select journalists for months, leaked the following excerpt from the top of the file. Document intercepted via cross-border legal registry scan. Subject flagged an ongoing royal vetting inquiry. Status: verified but not disclosed. Let that sink in for a moment. Verified but not disclosed. Which means someone knew about it. Someone in Meghan's inner circle. Someone in a government office. Maybe even Meghan herself. And they actively chose to not disclose this part of her history before the royal wedding. Why? Let's go deeper. The royal family's vetting process, especially for someone marrying into the inner circle, is no joke. MI5, MI6. Even foreign partners are routinely involved when a royal heir's future spouse enters the picture. When Harry proposed to Meghan, every document related to her identity, history, and legal status should have been reviewed. And yet this slipped through? Or was it hidden? Now, if you've been following the timeline, you know Meghan divorced her first public husband, Trevor Engelson, in 2013. But this newly discovered certificate with Joe Giuliano appears to be dated either late 2008 or early 2009, right in the midst of her supposed single years when she was climbing the Hollywood ladder. We're talking pre-suits, pre-Harry, pre-fame Meghan. So if this marriage did happen, why was it never reported? Some say it was a secret elopement. Others claim it was part of an immigration arrangement. Maybe even an exchange of favors to obtain dual citizenship, considering Meghan's reported travel history. Whatever the case, it raises disturbing questions. Because according to UK law, if Meghan was still legally married at the time of her wedding to Harry, that union, the royal wedding watched by millions across the globe, could technically be invalid. And that is no small thing. It calls into question not just her title, not just her place in the royal family, but the legitimacy of every legal privilege she's enjoyed since that wedding. Now imagine you're Harry. You gave up your military rank, your homeland, your family ties, your royal duties, all to protect this woman, to shield her from what he claimed was unfair media intrusion. You moved across the globe, started a new life, cut off your brother, distanced yourself from your father. Even the memory of your mother became part of your brand, all in the name of love. And then MI6 drops this on your doorstep? What do? How do you even process it? Sources say Harry initially thought it was a smear campaign, a plant, a fake, a rogue intelligence leak meant to destabilize the monarchy during already fragile times. But then came the second file, the certified copy. The stamp was real. The registry was real. The notary's signature matched. And a silent name on the witness line, Joe Giuliano's sister. The evidence was overwhelming. That's when Harry cracked. He demanded to speak to Meghan. Alone. What happened in that room? No one knows for sure, but insiders claim shouting could be heard through the thick palace walls. Not the anger of a man betrayed by the press, but the rage of someone who realized his entire world had been engineered around a lie. What was Meghan's defense? Did she admit it? Was it all a misunderstanding? Or did she try to justify it? That part, we'll get to in Chapter 6. Because for now, we need to understand who this mysterious Joe Giuliano is, and why Meghan's alleged marriage to him was buried deeper than any of her Hollywood deals, press scandals, or family drama. There's more. A lot more. Because MI6 didn't stop at one document. They uncovered a trail, subtle, encrypted, almost erased from public view, of Meghan's previous legal entanglements. And one of them may have never been annulled, which opens up a whole new legal nightmare. Bigamy. Yes, bigamy. And for a royal spouse, even an estranged one, that's a charge that doesn't just destroy reputations. It triggers investigations, strips titles, and could even block access to royal funds and trusts. But the biggest shock isn't that the documents exist. It's what's written in the margin of one of them. A handwritten note, allegedly in Meghan's own script. A personal message to the registrar, with one explosive sentence. What did it say? We'll get to that soon. Because what comes next? In Chapter 1, will take us behind the velvet curtain, inside the heart of the royal residence, to the moment when that red envelope landed on King Charles's desk and shattered the silence forever. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever wondered what it takes to shake a centuries-old monarchy to its core? Not a scandal, not a divorce, not a rogue tabloid headline, but an envelope, a red envelope, delivered by hand, unmarked, no postage, no fingerprint trails, just one crimson seal, barely glued, tucked into the gloved hand of a royal aide who didn't ask questions because he wasn't paid to. It arrived at Buckingham Palace on a chilly Tuesday morning, the kind where the fog hangs low over the royal gates and the ravens circle a little slower. You can almost feel history pulsing through the stone corridors on days like this. Quiet, unnerving, like the building itself is bracing for impact. King Charles III was seated in the sovereign's study, surrounded by polished wood, ancestral portraits, and piles of diplomatic briefings. Standard day. Routine. Until that envelope hit the desk with a faint tap. It didn't look like much. But even the king paused. A red envelope meant one thing, and one thing only inside the upper echelons of royal intelligence. A level 7 classified drop, usually reserved for direct communication between MI6 and the monarch. When bypassing government channels is deemed critical, no one speaks when that kind of envelope arrives. They just clear the room. And so they did. Charles slid it open with a solid gold letter opener once gifted by Winston Churchill. The blade glinted, but what spilled out was darker than any ink that had ever graced the royal archives. A single folder. Black cover. MI6 seal. Operation codename stamped across the top in blood red. Blue heron. Inside, 2 sheets of paper. The first, a full-page memo titled Foreign Subject Evaluation, Meghan Markle. The second, a scanned copy of a marriage certificate. And it wasn't from the UK. It wasn't from California either. It was from Cook County, Illinois. And next to the name Rachel Meghan Markle was a name no one inside that room expected to see. Joe Giuliano. It didn't just look official. It was official. The seal, the license number, the registrar's ink signature. All of it checked out. Charles froze. He wasn't known for dramatics, but sources say his fingers curled slowly, trembling just enough to draw notice. He didn't call for an aide. He didn't ring a bell. Instead, he whispered something under his breath. No one knows what. Then he picked up the folder, walked out of the room, and took it to the only person who could advise him in that moment, the head of royal security. Now pause right there. Why would King Charles escalate a piece of paper to that level? Because he knows exactly what that kind of document could mean. It's not just about whether Meghan had a secret marriage. It's about whether that marriage was ever dissolved. And if it wasn't, then her very public marriage to Prince Harry could be considered invalid in the eyes of both US and British law. Let that sink in. An invalid royal marriage. Everything unravels from there. Titles, privileges, immigration statuses, even the citizenship status of the children. One document. One envelope. That's all it took. But here's where the plot thickens, and quickly. The head of royal security didn't handle this folder like a basic background issue. He escalated it straight to MI6. And within hours, the palace went into quiet lockdown. Now you may be wondering, what does that even mean? It means no internal emails sent outside palace servers. It means no unrecorded phone calls. It means all digital traffic between key staff members is monitored. It means silence. Because if the public got wind of what was in that folder before the palace understood it, the consequences could be catastrophic. Let's back up. Joe Giuliano. You won't find much about him if you Google the name. At least, not the version tied to Meghan. There's another Joe Giuliano, former NYPD, high-ranking federal officer, completely unrelated. That's the misdirect. The one listed in the marriage certificate? Low profile. Little online trace. A few archived pages from defunct modeling agencies. Some blurry club photos from early 2009 in New York. One thread led to a now-deleted blog post titled, From Headshots to Heartbreak, My Year with RMM, posted by someone using the alias JG Truths. The timing? Posted in 2014. Scrubbed by 2015. Archived once. Guess what RMM stands for? Rachel Meghan Markle. But here's where the paranoia kicks in. According to one palace insider, who spoke under strict condition of anonymity, the red envelope wasn't originally intended for the king. It was meant for Prince Harry. But someone intercepted it. Possibly a royal aide. Possibly MI6. Possibly someone far closer to Charles than any of us would dare to guess. Because here's what else was in that folder, folded between the two documents. A photo. Old. Grainy. Possibly taken with a disposable camera. But undeniably real. It shows Meghan, much younger, possibly early 20s, standing on the steps of a courthouse. Next to a man who looks shockingly similar to the few images we've been able to trace of Joe Giuliano. They're both smiling, holding hands, and she's wearing a simple white dress. Want to guess what day the image was dated? July 10th, 2009. That's years before she met Trevor Engelson. Years before Suits. Before royal handlers. Before global fame. It was Meghan, raw, unpolished, standing beside a man who might have legally claimed her as his wife. So what happened? Why was this marriage never mentioned? Never discovered during vetting? Theories vary. Some say it was a marriage of convenience. Others say it was a spontaneous Vegas-style union quickly annulled. But the document found by MI6 doesn't mention an annulment. In fact, there's no dissolution record at all attached to it. The palace scrambled to investigate. But their problem? The US has 50 different states with 50 different legal systems. Some of those systems? Digitalized. Others? Still running on paper, lost in aging filing cabinets in dusty courthouses. And guess which county has notoriously lax archiving practices? Cook County. Perfect for someone who wanted something buried, but not destroyed. Now here's where things spiral into espionage territory. Why was MI6 even digging into this? The report suggests that Meghan's name appeared in a cross-border database sweep while agents were investigating potential foreign influence tied to royal press leaks.